Tov. Good evening. There was once a conference, there were 1,000 people, full-day conference, and there was a lot of speakers. So speaker 1 was a full crowd. Speaker 2, a few less. As the day went on, it dwindled down. And then speaker number 8, about 50 people who were kind enough to stay to the end, but even they got sick of it, and slowly but surely there's only one lone fellow who waited till the bitter end. And when the speaker completed his speech, he went down and he was so appreciative to this one fellow who had the menschlichkeit to really wait and listen to what he had to say. So he went down the podium and he said, "Sir, I'm so impressed. Thank you so much for being such a mensch." The guy looks at him straight in the eye and says, "Sir, you don't understand. I'm the next speaker." Okay, so I hope you have the patience to listen after such a long day, and Baruch Hashem, a nice program. I must tell you before I begin that I am so impressed with, I feel like I know for many years now, David Brown, who is like, wow, so straight and so warm and so special, really. I wonder if your wife, my life, upstairs, she probably said, "It's my King David," right? When she listened to you. Okay, it's the times that we are going through are serious times. In fact, I heard beautiful activities with the group Tzalash. Made a remark before that I was delayed. Actually, I was coming from speaking to lone soldiers tonight in a gathering here in Beit Shemesh. It's an extremely important support to Klal Yisrael, to be supportive of the soldiers and so on, needless to say. The story about this farmer in Europe who had his life dream to buy himself a nice custom-made suit for his sister's wedding. And he collected a lot of money over the years. I don't know, today you go buy a suit, so you go to a store and buy a suit. When I became bar mitzvah, my mother took me to the tailor in Tel Aviv. And it took him 2 months to make my suit. After measuring again. This guy in Europe, back way in the days, so he also wanted to have a suit. What do you do when you want to have a suit? He went to the big city and he went to the tailor. The tailor said, sure. He measured, took measurements. He said, sir, come back in 3 months, you'll have a suit. The fellow goes back to his farm and comes back 3 months later, and he's so excited. He comes to the tailor shop, and the tailor is busy with another customer. Says, in the meantime, you try on your suit, and I'll make sure that everything is fine, and if you need some adjustments. Okay, the fellow goes to the rack, and he takes off this supposedly suit, and he tries on. So he tries on the pants, and it's geht nicht. It's like a little tight. He manages to schlep one side, other side, And finally he tries to button himself. This is already, he saw him. He's trying. Finally he was able to, button himself. The tailor was still busy, takes off the jacket now, and he tries again the same thing, squeezes through the sleeve. He's getting very annoyed, very upset. The other hand, the same story. And then the jacket, he's out of breath, he's turning colors, but he was told to try, so he's trying. Now that he finally managed to button himself, he's out of breath, he's about to faint. He cries out and says, Taylor, what have you done to me? The tailor comes running. The guy's about to pass. He says, sir, I don't know what you did, but just open up those buttons. He opens up the button and the tailor starts laughing. He said, sir, don't you know that before you try on new pants, you have to take off your overalls? Don't you know that before you try on the new jacket, you have to take off your winter coat? Sometimes, in order to understand new situations, one has to change its entire outlook and take off the old childish understanding that we grow up with from childhood, and to really try to understand what is going on currently. What can I do? How can I, in these tumultuous times, really do what I'm supposed to do? I remember that for many years it bothered me that there's a minhag, it says in Halacha, that when you daven in the morning you say Tachnun, so you say Tachnun, you sit down, and when you say the words V'anachnu lo neida ma na'aseh, you stand up. Everybody who goes to shul knows that. I was wondering, what in the world does it mean? What's the source of this minhag? Why dafka over there? When I did research, I couldn't find any reasonable explanation. But during the corona, I remember one day I was davening up, suddenly dawned on me, wow, it's so simple. You remember, not so long ago, corona, everybody didn't know what to do, what's going on. When the Jew gets to the Madrege, that he says, V'anachnu lo neida ma na'aseh, I don't know what to do. Then you can start getting up. That's the time, ki olecha ineinu. Then you got the message. We don't know what to do. Nowadays also we don't know what to do. There's so much going on. And we wonder, and we don't know what to do. Many people have different ideas. In Kabbalah they say that whoever says doesn't know. And whoever knows doesn't say. Okay? So, people say all kinds of things, but the question is really, how do we deal with this situation? Just wanted to say that the fact that the shul, Ahavas, Shalom, that is a very, very special shul. I occasionally speak there and I see the people are so into learning. It's beautiful, under the leadership of my very, very special Detroit friend, all-time friend, Rav Zacharish, is really an exceptional love. And really, it warms my heart to spend time with this Olam. But you chose to have the dinner on Motzei Shabbos. Think like, what Motzei Shabbos? Very interesting, Motzei Shabbos. Slichus always starts on Motzei Shabbos by the Ashkenazim. Shabbos, why? So I looked for reasons and I found a few, but I want to share with you one which is really beautiful. The Motzei Menucho Kidam Nucho Tchilo. Motzei Shabbos is a very special time. Why so? It says that when Odom Orishan and Chavo were created as adults, otherwise who would have babysat? Would change the diapers, right? So obviously the Gemara says they were created as 20-year-olds and they sinned already that day. The first Friday night, says the Medrash, Lamedvov Shoy Shimsho Oiso Oiro. 36 hours, it was light. There was no darkness. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't want to really aggravate Adam and Chava on Shabbos. But Motzei Shabbos, the sun set finally. And Adam and Chava, for the first time in their lives, experienced darkness. And they were frightened. V'oimar ach choshech yeshufeini v'layla oy ba'adeini. Say Chazal, that Adam Rishon and Chava said, okay, this is, I guess, how you die. So the Yom HaChol Femenu Moist almost the same day, it's the end of the day because the day was 36 hours. I thought that's the end. V'layla oy ba'adeini. But that night really was oy ba'adeini. It became light. What does it mean? So Chazal say that Adam was sitting on the ground and he was playing with some stones, with some flintstones, whatever it was, and he saw a little spark, a little light, and he says, wow. And then he finally created his own light. It's a very nice story. That's why we say Bracha on the candle Motzei Shabbos. But there is a much deeper message, it's not just a story. The Rebbeinu Shalom told Adam and Chava, when you are surrounded with darkness, you have to create your own light. That's the message. Motzei Shabbos, we speak about Eliyahu Novi, about Geula, because this is the time of really re-energizing ourselves. And as some say, Dafka after Shabbos, after the Simchas HaShabbos, the tshuva should be done by Simcha. We find this concept over and over again, that after a person ruins something, then the message of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, I gave you a good situation, you're wounded, I love you, but now you go, you do the first step. Shuvu Elai v'oshuvu Aleichem. The luchos, the first luchos HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave Moshe Rabbeinu, he made the whole thing from A to Z. But the second luchos, it says, Psol lecho, Shnei luchos avonim. The chosabti ala luchos, I'll write it, but you have to prepare the stones. Because tshuva can only be real if it's initiated by the person who wants to do tshuva. I want to share with you a fascinating concept I came across recently, which will maybe give us a little inkling, a little bit of what is expected of us in this time, perhaps. Last week's parsha and this week's parsha, we find in three separate places that the Torah says to do. One is to create a mizbeach. One is to have the Choshen HaMishpot. And one is to create Mizbach HaKteres. In all three cases, the Torah says and emphasizes, Rovua Yihye. It should be square. Now, if you tell me that Mizbeach is 5 ames by 5 ames, I don't have to be a great scientist to figure out that it's square. Why does the Torah says Rovua? Is to tell us that is akpode. It says the size, Shlomo HaMelech's Mizbeach was a different size, but the akpode, the emphasis is it must be square. Why in the world is there such an emphasis on being square? But that's not the only thing that the Torah requires us to have a square. Tefillin has to be merubo. If even one corner of the tefillin is round, it's possible tefillin. It has to be merubo, it has to be perfectly square. What's the idea? So I want to share with you a beautiful machshava. The Yerushalmi in Maseches Maasros says that ein merubo misheishes semei bereshis. whatever God created in the world is not square. Maybe not perfectly round, like an egg, but not square. There's nothing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in the world in the natural sense, in the original creation, that is square. There's a man Omar in Yerushalmi that wants to say it only relevant to food. But Pasha, Yerushalmi, generally speaking, goes with that there was nothing in the world that was created square. Everything is round. The Torah tells us a fascinating thing, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created a world for us. But then he says to Adam and Chava, Pur Revu, it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, Milu es ha'oretz v'chivshuo, uredu mitgas hayom v'oif hashamayim. I'm preparing a situation for you, but you have to take action. You have to do what you have to do. And that which a person adds to the Bria, how Shomayim Lashem, Ve'oretz Nosan Livnei Odom. The Rebbe gave the earth to people, and the Rebbe wants us to create the boundaries. When you have Ribua, a circle is something eternal, can go around and around, doesn't have a beginning, doesn't have an end. That's the Olam HaNitzchis. In Olam Hazeh, you have to take that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu created and make it into Ravua. Everything that connects between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Klal Yisrael is square. Tzitzis, Tfilo Le'oni Kiyato, it has to be Arba Kanfis. Mizbeach, the Choshen, which is Alei, Shbois B'nai Yisrael. Things which connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is dafke through our maisim, through our actions. HaKadosh Baruch Hu provides us with the material, the raw material. This is really what is incumbent upon us to do. Everything that we have as human beings, we don't realize sometimes, but it is due to the fact that we are Atzelem Elokim. And Atzelem Elokim must appreciate the fact that it is Atzelem Elokim. If you ask anyone, what was the sin of Chavo and Odom by eat? I tell you, they ate from the Pri Hadas. It's true, technically it's true, but that's missing the main procedure that led to that hate. I learned in Slobodka, the 6-day war, I was in Yeshiva in Slobodka, they emphasized always godless Odom. And I so appreciate over the years that Yesoid, incredible thing. And I was thinking when Chavo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Chavo, created Odom, and he said to them, B'Tzelem Elokim Bo Oisom. Zochar u'Nekeva Bo Oisom. There's a Zochar and Nekeva, two parts of the Tzelem Elokim. Okay, Tzelem Elokim, you know what that means? V'techasreyu me'ad Elokim. The closest thing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a human being. Tohu Malachei Asher, as it says. Asher was wondering, like, all the attributes that we have come from that. Tzelem Elokim Sheboy. It says that the Nochosh spoke to Chava. Who is the Nochosh? Shrewd. Oru mikolcha es ha'asor es ha'chaya roeh. You, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu met Odom and Chava after the Chet, he says, Ayeko, where are you? What do you mean? Didn't know what they are. Ayekov is what happened to you. I told you you're Tzelem Elokim. I told you that you're the purpose of creation. I told you that you're godly. Comes a Nochosh, a low life, and he tells you what to do. And you listen to him. You should have thrown down the stairs. Who are you to tell me to defy the will of my Creator. As a nochosh, a chaya roeh. When Chava lost her majesty, her royalty in her own eyes, that started the spiraling down of everything. And that's the story with humanity from day one till today. When people don't appreciate who they are, everything that we have comes from that godliness, from that Shalom Aleichem Sheboy. When we are surrounded with darkness, the way to deal with it is to create our own light. I remember one time I took the red-eye flight. The Olam knows what the red-eye flight is? From California to Detroit. You want to sleep through the night, you want to gain a night and not lose the next business day, you take a red-eye flight. So I took that flight. What do? You want to fall asleep? What's the best way to fall asleep? You take a sefer. It's magic. It's magic. I took a halacha sefer, and I said, I'm telling you, less than 5 minutes, I was out. I was out like a light. But then, I don't even know how long later, I woke up to a very thunderous laughter. People were laughing and laughing. I woke up, I was a little, I said, wait a minute, I'm not so funny, why are they laughing at me? But then something else bothered me. The people were still not sleeping, were still up, were laughing, but not all of them. Half of those people were laughing, and the other half were completely oblivious. And I said to myself, if something is so funny, then everyone should laugh. And if it's not so funny, why are so many people laughing? I had a kasha. But then it dawned on me something incredible. I watched carefully and I saw all the people that were laughing had earphones. Now I had shot. When the cowboy went like this, those days there was screens on it was not like little screens in the back of the seats, like the big screens. The cowboy went like this, the people who didn't have earphones didn't know what the guy was doing. They were completely disconnected. If you can look at the same thing, you look at the same war, you can look at the same suffering, you can look at the same simchas. If you are not connected, if you don't understand, then it's worthless. It doesn't do anything for you. A person has to develop a way to connect with what's going on. So when a person is a Tzion Elikim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is mechadesh betuvoi, b'chol yom tamid. I always tell my non-religious listeners, I always tell them, it's a strange thing. A couple gets married, and they find out they cannot have children. So, what do? They go to a fertility specialist, and if that doesn't work, they try to adopt hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if they can adopt, they'll adopt a dog, something. I don't understand. I'm talking about people who are not religious. You found out you can't have children, no diapers. No calls from the principal, it's a pleasure. Have a good time. We know the mitzvah of poor, but going, non-full people, what drives them? The answer is very simple, because a person is a Tzion Elikim. And a Tzion Elikim wants to be like the Beit Olam. The Beit Olam is a boire, he creates life, and when a person doesn't create life, it bothers him. It's a horrible thing. Why? Because there's something there. He can't even explain it. Why is it so? Because there's certain things that we want to create the square, so to speak, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu let us be ordained to do, to איך שאומרים בעברית, like say, לרבע את המעגל, to square the circle. We want to, because that's the question that Hakadosh Baruch Hu expects us to do. And when He puts us in a matzav like today, that we are so confused and so challenged by the times, the Pshat in the Rebbe says it's not by accident. It's by design. You have to look at your situation to see what can I do? What can I create? When so Shneur saw that there's no chiluk for Jewish girls, she created Beis Yaakov. People were laughing at her at the time. But she did right, she had a vision. Yes, it didn't exist before. But the reason why Hakadosh Baruch Hu put her in the right time, in the right place, is that she should find a solution. That's what the Rebbe wants from us. Be innovative. We're innovative in business and all kinds of things. Be innovative in Avodas Hashem. Being that, I think I'm the last speaker. I don't know what you're planning. I want to focus on one machshava that I think is extremely important to understand. We heard before, there's different organizations and people. I went in a few weeks after the beginning of the war. I went down myself with my neighbor, filled up an ambulance of Ezras Achim with 300 portions of shawarma and all kinds of food. We went down there. You see the smiles on the faces of the Chayalim and the Ahavas Israel, from, not from leftist, rightist. It was really damn a very surreal, beautiful experience. But more Hashem Elokecho Doresh Mimcho. What does Hakadosh Baruch Hu want from us? So of course, again, there's so many things, but there's one thing is clear. I want to just focus on one thing which every Jew heard before, but how to apply it to our days. It says, Rabbi Akiva says, "Ve'ohavto l'reacho kamoicho." I think David before mentioned that. Ve'ohavto, the union of Ahava, of love. Ve'ohavto l'reacho kamoicho. Klal godel b'Torah. It's the ultimate rule of Torah. Really? I learned it and I was very bothered by this statement. I understand that all the laws between one man and his fellow man is included. Hillel said it in the negative. When the potential convert came to Shammai and he said, I want to learn the whole Torah on regular Achas, he says, forget it. Amas Abinyon. But when he went to Hillel, Hillel said, no problem. Stand on 1 foot. Right? I'll tell you the whole Torah. Whatever is hated to you, don't do to others. I don't understand. Shatnez is after the Racha. Kashrus, Shabbos, what's going on? Kol HaTorah Kulo. It bothered me. Remember years ago, and finally I came upon the Pshat, the real Pshat, which is really so beautiful. And again, many people are not aware of that. The Gemara says, I'm not going to be Meirich, but bottom line, the Gemara says, who is Reach? Who is your friend? Your best friend. I went to the group of students and asked me, do you want to have a best friend? They said, of course. What qualities would you look for in a best friend? So they enumerated a whole bunch of things and we wrote down 16, 17 qualities. Loyalty and care and smart, whatever. I said to him, Rabbi, do you have anyone has someone who has all those qualities? Your best friend? They started laughing. No. One said that he has a friend that has 2 of the qualities. One said he has a friend that has 5 of the qualities. And one lied and he said he has 7 of the qualities. So I told him, Rabbi, I have a friend who has all those qualities plus. Really, Rabbi, you're so lucky. Wow. I said, you are lucky too. Who is your best friend if not the Beit? He created you. He created your best friends. He created even the brains that you use sometimes to rebel against him. Isn't he your best friend? Yes, shatnez. If you know the Torah, and you will shatnez, it's not that you're not religious. You're not a mensch. You Pashut, not a mensch. I say many times to very fine Jews, Mesoratim, I tell them, Rabbi, אני מאמין בתורה, he dances in Simchas Torah. I said, you know, it's an unbelievable thing. That the same time you dance with it, it says, the Beis says, what I want from you is your best friend. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, אני מאמין. B'chal Shabbos. The Beis says, hello, what are you doing? Versteht, you can't say it to everyone. You have to know who you say it to. But I'm saying, principally speaking, that's really something that is the Yesod. So just briefly, if that's the Yesod of Yiddishkeit, what's the pshat? Ve'ohavto l'reacho kamoicho. I say again, ve'ohavto, love. I tell my students, I think Reb Shimon Salway probably heard me say it in Michigan already. I ask my students all the time, he says, do you know what love is? No. I said, I want to ask you something. A group of, let's say, 50 students, I said to them, tell me, do you guys love ice cream? Sure. I want to volunteer. So to get out and stand in front of the whole crowd, I love ice cream. And the poor guy, the volunteer is always found right away. Sure, Rabbi, no problem. I love ice cream, he proclaims. I said, really? I don't want you, Chas v'Shalom, to speak inappropriately or or anything. Just think for a moment. I said, what do you do to the poor ice cream? And what do you do to someone you really love? They start laughing and giggling. I said, you love ice cream? You love to destroy ice cream. You love the way it feels going down your esophagus. So don't say I love ice cream, say I love to destroy ice cream. That's the truth. And the relationships are ice cream relationships. So the ice cream melts, they're looking for some fresh ice cream. Wash it. Divorce rate, the ice cream is gone. The whole thing is so false and so superficial, it's unbelievable. I told him I'll give you an example of maybe, not a perfect example of what says love. I said, Yom Kippur afternoon, my head is banging, spiritually I'm on a high, but physically I'm just at the end. My little kid, 2.5 years old, comes in and says, Tati, I'm hungry, very hungry. I take him across the street to the apartment. I prepare him a pastrami sandwich with the mustard and the pickles. And he sits across me, take hefty bites. And I said, it's so good. My child is eating. Your child? Whoever has children knows that it's child. Yeah, child. You can be very hungry and very in much pain, but the kid is eating. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. Why is it not a perfect example? Because if the 2.5-year-old child will be my neighbor's child, those face the children. I don't know if I would have pleasure to raise it. That's already asking a little bit much, right? So it's not a perfect example, but it gives you, I call it arrival at the gates of love. When you enjoy giving people, you enjoy. That's why marriages don't last, because everybody asks, what is in it for? What have you done for me lately? Rather than ask, what can I do for you now? What can I do? Tzarov once said, he says that marriage is a laboratory of self-refinement. That's why I was so impressed by my wife, my lifeline of my friend David Brown. Really, to reach that level, that the honest, that's the way it is. It's a laboratory of self-refinement. He thinks, what can I make for my wife? How can I make her happy? She thinks, how can I make him happy? You have two happy people. In the meantime, they became godlike. They became, this is Elikus. Abba said Elikus. Elikus is Yoitzer Oil U'Boil Choshech. The Rebbe Shalom created the world and he created light. He created darkness. In Yeshayahu it says, Boirei Ra, the Rebbe Shalom created the option of evil. Can you imagine? So I was once thinking to myself, the Rebbe Shalom hates evil. Soinei Ovel. But the Rebbe Shalom created the option of evil. Why? To provide us an arena of freedom of choice so we can choose and we can then gain eternal bliss deservedly. Right? They are good. But imagine, the Rabbi Kaplan has a book, If I Were God, right? If you were God or something like that. Imagine the Rebbe Shalom creates something which is the antithesis of everything God, of everything He stands for. But He did it to be native. I always say that's Pshat in Poa Adumo. So it's the entire Torah, because the Kohen who purifies becomes impure. That's what Torah is about, the ability to do something for someone else when you are not comfortable. That's godliness. Das is Torah. That's what it's all about. Then the Torah says, L'reacho, to my friend. What do you mean, my friend? If he's not my friend, I don't have to love him? The answer is that the only way to love people is to find some commonality, some common denominator that connects me. A goy is also a Tzelem Elokim. Goldman is not a bit of a Zorah and doesn't lose the Tzelem Elokim. A goy is also a Tzelem Elokim. The Sephora says, Af choyvev amim kol doisha b'yedecho HaKadosh Baruch Hu choyvev kol amim. He loves us way more because we're his children, of course. But you find Ahavas Abrias, there's Ahavas Yisrael, Ahavas Abrias. What? No. That Ahavas, there's different madregas, versteht sich. But that's the idea of connecting is through reus, meaning to find somewhere where I can be his friend. I can be his friend 100%, 5% is also good. Epe, something. And then it says Komoicho Raboisai. The last word is Komoicho. Komoicho means like yourself. What happens if I don't like myself? Well, some people say I hate myself, right? You know what the Gemara says? The Gemara says if somebody says that he hates himself, there are two options. He's either a liar or a meshuggah. Stay away from him. Someone who doesn't care about his own life certainly doesn't care about your life, no matter what he says. He's either lying, he cares about his life, or if he doesn't, send him to a psychiatrist. Not a healthy person. The Torah Aseret starts with Onoichi Hashem Elokecho. The last word is L'Reyecho. Onoichi L'Reyecho. If people don't appreciate themselves who they are, they cannot love others. And that's really part of the main psychological things that push people to speak Lashon Hara and be negative, is because they're not comfortable in their own skin. Zog di Torah Komoicho. You have to love yourself, but extend the I, the self, to include everyone else in it. We're not Christians. We don't say give the other chick and so on. Be selfless. There's nothing as being selfless. Everything starts from the Anoichi. If I want to be a tzaddik, that's also selfishness. It's also selfishness. But again, the person has such potential to take the world, the physical world that has Baruch Hu and elevate it. And I'll end with one of my favorite experiences, because really this is one of the most beautiful, experience I had. Really, I said it over and over again. I was once with a group of non-full students in Yerushalayim, and I wanted to show them a little bit Yiddishkeit. A group of about 12, 15 boys, I don't remember exactly. So my brother-in-law, the Rosh Kollel in Yerushalayim, Chav Sorotzkin, the Achnosa Sefer Torah. And I figured, wow, Achnosa Sefer Torah, perfect. We came there, and people were dancing, and the kids dressed Shabbosdik with torches, and there was this talk, the Achnosa Sefer talk, the music. It was beautiful. Really, close to 1,000 people in the street dancing, and it was great. So I overhear a conversation of two Jerusalemites, two Chalmers, as they call them, right? And one says to the other in Yiddish, he says, Du weißt, was sehr viele Menschen tanzen da? Do you know why so many people are dancing and so lebendig here? The other guy looks at him, said, verstehe ich, Kovet HaTeire. I didn't understand what the question is. And the other fellow with a typical Yerushalmi gesture said, du verstehst nicht. You don't get it. Ich will dir sagen. I will tell you. You know why so many people are dancing here? Weil a beheme is given a Sefer Torah. Because an animal became a Sefer Torah. I said, what is the man talking about? And it dawned on me. The Sefer Torah, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was a cow in a smelly barn. The moo, moo. You wouldn't want to be in Naladadamis, a mile away, you wouldn't want to be next to it. And this is the Sefer Torah you're dancing with now. Somebody came into the skin and into cloth. And I said, Yerushalayim loaded. So I turned to my boys, I said, I just tell something incredible. I never realized that yet. And from then on, I tell Bar Mitzvah to put on tefillin. I said, you know what you're doing? You're putting a behemale here. Amol given a behemale. Once upon a time, it was an animal. Because as I told like this, if an animal can become a Sefer Torah, a Yid is a Tzelem Elokim, and he walks on himself, can you imagine what he can become? Says the Shloah Kodesh that a Yid, a Erlich Yid, is more beloved to the Beit Yoilom than all the Malachei HaShoros put together. Gadlus Odom, nowadays we see the zilzal in human life. We have to really focus on what we could do, and we have godly powers the Moshe gave us. Whatever we can, within our limits, the Moshe is not asking us to do what we can do, but what we can do is to be machshiv ourselves and therefore be machshiv others. Nothing changed over the many, many centuries. It's the same call, love your friend like yourself, be'emes. It's a tall order, it's not easy. People think, it's very easy to say, it's very difficult to be Mekayim. But this is really, nowadays especially, with all what's going on, find your own way. Somebody wants to give food for the soldiers. Somebody wants to say the healing. Whatever you do, whatever you can, whatever is within your capacity, do. You don't have to have any formalities. Do from the heart. Be like David Brown. Right? Do things from the heart. Mamesh, with Ehrlichkeit, without shtick, without anything, just the emes of the Somim, Marshal Lekecha Deresh Leimcho. The Benjamin wants us to do Zogah Chesed, Atznei Alechas Hashem Lekecha, as he says, Rabbi, I wish you all to continue to mechazek this wonderful Moised, the Medrash of Ahavas and the Choshev Erov. Give chizuk to each other. Continue the Avodas HaKodesh and Be'ez Hashem B'Kol with the Tzion Goyel. We'll dance in Yerushalayim together. The Beis Mashiach Tzidkeinu Amen.